What's up guys, and welcome to FPL Today. I'm the man in the know, JNO, and welcome to the updated first draft for the Fantasy Premier League 2019-20 season. In this video we're going to go over my thoughts after about a week to 2 weeks of the game being out and see what changes I've made compared to my first draft before we start looking at pre-season and how the players are preparing for the start of the season. So if this is something you want to see, a regular update on my team, please do hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel, making sure to hit that notification bell so you know when my videos go live. We are going to start pumping out the content now. But before we get into this video, please do go and check out Fantasy Football Fix. They are official partner of this channel. Here is a quick video about what you can get in the pre-season pack to help you get ready for the Fantasy Premier League 2019-20 season. Analyse your FPL season with the most comprehensive artificial intelligence tools only on fantasyfootballfix.com. Compare your statistics against the elite managers in the game using 10 unique tools combined with Opta data. Check fantasyfootballfix.com pre-season now and review your season data using the most powerful artificial intelligence platform. Click the link below or head over to fantasyfootballfix.com/preseason for analysis on your 2018-19 season. So we start off, of course, with the goalkeepers as always, and as you can see, we have not changed the goalkeepers as of yet. I'm waiting to see what comes up in pre-season. Farman has recently gone to Norwich, so Farman could be an option for me. However, right now I know Ryan is probably the most nailed on £4.5 million goalkeeper, and I'm planning on just having him there, setting and forgetting and trying to get points from elsewhere in my side. If a better £4.5 million option does turn up, especially if they have a £4 million backup, then I may go with them. But right now Matthew Ryan is my man just because I'm so confident he will be a starter at the beginning of the season. Now go and watch Brighton somehow sign a really good goalkeeper and all of that part of the video be irrelevant. We then go to defence, and as you can see, we have upgraded defence slightly. We now have 3 big hitters in defence. We have Digne, Laporte and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, a lot of people have been doubling up on Liverpool defence. I have been considering it because it's really hard to double up on Salah and Mane. So that is definitely a consideration for me to get one of Van Dijk or Robertson in as well. Getting Laporte means I've got Man City's defence covered, although if a cheaper option comes to the fore in that Man City defence in the pre-season, we may downgrade to that player. And then Digne as well, I am considering Seamus Coleman as a way into that Everton defence. The reason, if I hadn't made it clear in the last video why I've gone for Arnold over Andrew Robertson and Van Dijk, is because points per game, he got 6.4 points per game on average compared to Robertson's 5.9 and Virgil van Dijk's 5.5. Now yes, both Van Dijk and Robertson outscored Trent Alexander-Arnold, but they appeared in more games, and I think Trent Alexander-Arnold now has that spot now down, at least I'm hoping that's the case. And he got more goals than Robertson, and he got more assists than both of them. Virgil van Dijk, of course, getting more goals than Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I'm going with Trent for now. Of course, it's easy to move from one to the other as long as Robertson doesn't rise in price massively and then Trent either stay at the same price or drop. But going to Virgil van Dijk is easy from both Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. As for Laporte, apart from Edison, he seems the most secure option in that back line right now and also was one of the highest scorers, getting a points per game of 5.1 last season, which is almost comparable to the likes of Virgil van Dijk. 18 clean sheets, 3 goals, 3 assists. That's why I've gone with him for now. I'm very interested to see what happens in that left-back situation with Angelino, Zinchenko and Mendy. And if Man City do get a big defender brought in that does come in at the game cheaper, maybe someone like Harry Maguire, we could consider that. But right now, Laporte is where I'm putting my bets on for that Man City back line. And then we've got Digne, 6 million. I like him because 4.5 points per game is decent, and Everton definitely improved a lot more in the second half of the season. However, I am now facing the issue of looking at Coleman, thinking potentially I could get some value there, because Coleman actually had 29 appearances to Digne's 34, got 125 points to Digne's 158, but points per game was at 4.3. That is just lower than Digne. And he got 1 more clean sheet as well. Goals and assists, of course, was higher for Digne, 4 goals, 5 assists, whereas Coleman got 2 and 2. But the underlying stats look decent for Coleman, especially near the tail end of the season. So there's the chance I downgrade there, which gives me money to spend elsewhere. The other two defenders haven't changed yet. It is the Crystal Palace man that got taken out for Laporte. Taylor and Targett are in there currently, but I am looking for other £4.5 million options. And depending what I do with the other three defenders, we may upgrade one of these two £4.5 million defenders to have four at the back formation. We move on to midfield, and Salah and Sterling are still there, of course. If you don't know, Salah 6.8 points per game. Sterling 6.9 points per game. The two highest scorers in the game last season. They're there for a reason. 22 goals, 12 assists for Salah. 17 goals, 15 assists for Sterling. So that is why they're in there. I think that's self-explanatory. But as you can see, I've beefed up my midfield a bit. Sigurdsson is now joined by Ryan Fraser at 7.5 million. Looking at, obviously, these two were the highest scoring midfielders under 8 million last year. If Ryan Fraser and Callum Wilson stay at Bournemouth, hopefully they can continue their partnership that was very fruitful last season. Fraser getting 38 appearances, although some of those were substitute appearances, 181 points, expected points of 185.7, so he was just below that, with 7 goals and 14 assists, a 4.8 points per game average. 4.8 points per game average also for Sigurdsson, who got 38 appearances, 182 points, expected points was 191.7, 13 goals and 6 assists. They are joined by Dendoncker, who, because he comes in at 4 million and seemed to be a very important part of Wolves' team at the end of the season, I think Dendoncker is a playing 4.5 million midfielder unless Wolves do bring in anyone else, which is why I really like the look of him. And then we've got the front three, and as you can see, we have downgraded Wilson, which allows us to upgrade elsewhere to Joshua King. Joshua King last season, 35 appearances, 141 points compared to Wilson's 168. Expected points was at 161.8 though, which is similar to Wilson's of 169.2, so potentially King underperformed and maybe he will rise to prominence a bit more this season. Points per game was at 4, Wilson was at 5.6. Goals and assists, 12 and 3 for King. This is where King really did get outshone by Wilson, was in the assists. Wilson only got 2 more goals than King, however he got 12 assists. That is 9 more assists than Joshua King got. But with penalties now being potentially more of an important part of the game, with VAR coming in, maybe King can bridge that gap a bit, and he is £1.5 million cheaper. And then we've got Diogo Jota, who right now at the time of recording this, there's a mad rumour that Wolves might be getting Diego Costa. So if they do get Diego Costa, potentially Jota isn't as favourable as an option anymore. But at 6.5 million, that's £1 million cheaper than Raul Jimenez, and he got a points per game average of 4.2 compared to Raul Jimenez's 4.8. So potentially with Diogo Jota being a lot better in the second half of the season, that gap could be bridged a bit more now. His expected points was 146.9 compared to 139 points scored. Raul Jimenez scored 181 points compared to 185.1 expected points for Jimenez. So both underperformed just slightly on their expected points. 9 goals, 8 assists for Diogo Jota compared to Raul Jimenez's 13 and 10. Again, I think that gap could potentially be bridged. Diogo Jota didn't have the greatest start to the season, where I think Raul Jimenez was pretty much on form for most of the season. So I'm hoping Diogo Jota, if he does stay up front alongside Raul Jimenez, can keep the form from the end of the season going and potentially be worth the risk of spending less than getting in Raul Jimenez. Of course, I am slightly worried about Europa League affecting Wolves' campaign, but I think Wolves are almost kind of like a different kind of animal for a promoted side. I know this is their second season. There's always the worry of second season syndrome, but I still really like Wolves as a side. So I'm hopeful that they won't have a bad season now they're in the Europa League. And that is how my side currently looks on the screen there. Now, at the moment, the way it's set up, the issue I have is I've got 3 defenders that I'm definitely going to play every game week. I have 4 midfielders that I'm definitely going to play every game week. And I've got 2 attackers that I'm playing every game week at the moment in that side. So there's 1 forward, 2 defenders and 1 midfielder who I'm a bit iffy on. That doesn't really set up for an easy to choose formation. It means I'll be rotating through all of them. Now, ideally, I don't want to be rotating through all of them. I'd like either a 5-man midfield that I know I'm going to play every game week, or at least a 4-man defence that I know I'm playing every game week. So I will be on the lookout for another defender, midfielder, probably not another forward, because the forwards I want are probably going to be too expensive. Vardy's the one I would really like to somehow fit in, but of course that would probably mean downgrading the likes of Sterling to Kevin De Bruyne. Maybe the likes of Fraser to a Brooks for the start of the season, and then move to a Leicester City midfielder if they do keep playing the way they've been playing. Sigurdsson, of course, could get downgraded depending on who Everton do bring in, or if I find another option somewhere else. I would just like one Doesn't necessarily have to be premium price striker. It doesn't have to be your Harry Kanes, your Aubameyangs, your Agueros, although I am slightly worried about penalties, Agueros with VAR. But I'm definitely on the lookout to bring in someone that is relatively cheap, that I think is a good addition to this side to play every game week. But the reason for the team setup is basic. Defenders and midfielders seem to offer a lot more value than forwards do in the game at the moment. There were 2 defenders that scored over 200 points last year. If we look at the highest scoring players, the first forward came in at 6th or 7th last season for the highest scoring players. So that is why all my money is currently in midfield and defence. Could this change? Could I be swayed back to bringing in someone like an Aguero or Aubameyang, who they did still score decent points and are captaincy options? The thing is, I've got Salah and Sterling for that captaincy armband, so I'm hoping I won't get drawn into that, because I actually really want to try this season without a premium price striker. That's kind of a strategy that at the outset I'm planning to go with, but isn't necessarily guaranteed, because I know I could get swayed if a striker has a really good pre-season. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. As always, we should hopefully be doing a lot more content from this point onwards on the channel. I am doing stuff with the Wildcats as well, so please do go and check out the Wildcats. Also, check out all the links in the description down below, including Fantasy Football Fix, who are a partner with this channel. Hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification bell. All the support is much appreciated as we go into the start of the new season. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.